The Pietermaritzburg High Court will hear former President Jacob Zuma's bid to appeal the dismissal of his special plea judgment not to recuse advocate Billy Downer. In the special plea application, Zuma's counsel questioned the impartiality of the lead arms deal prosecutor. Counsel arguing that if Downer was to prosecute the arms deal fraud and corruption trial, the former president would not get a fair hearing. Now, Zuma and French arms company Thales are in the spotlight over allegations regarding the controversial multi-billion-rand arms deal dating back to 1999. Now, Newzroom Afrika's senior politics reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo is at the court. She joins us live alongside Nkosikhona Duma, who is also within the precinct. Ziyanda, good morning to you. Very interesting case, this one, because in December last year, the former president deciding to go to a nearby police station to open a case against Billy Downer. This is all part of what the former president is saying is Billy Downer's signs that he is not a prosecutor who has shown impartiality.
Absolutely, Koli, but there is a school of thought that says, well, the opening of the criminal case against advocate Billy Downer is something that was topsy-turvy, if I could put it that way, that this should have been done before filing that special plea according to section 1061H of the Criminal Procedures Act, to say, well, in fact, it was raised in the arguments within the court to say you had so many avenues to explore before seeking to strip Billy Downer of his title to prosecute. Why didn't the former president go to the ethics office within the National Prosecuting Authority to raise these issues of ethics that he has now raised and is seeking to use to have Billy Downer removed from this matter? I tell you what, Koli, an interesting suggestion then being made by legal expert Mpumelelo Zigalala, saying that, if the two legal teams are of sound mind, a compromise could be made here to say, well, perhaps then remove Billy Downer as the lead, but keep him within the prosecution's team because of the institutional memory that he has, not only of this case, but that of Schabir Shaik. He's the one who, remember, if you'll recall, Koli, who successfully prosecuted and led Schabir Shaik to be convicted in the mid-2000s. And so he's somebody who is critical and crucial to this team. And you'll recall that there was also a theory to say, well, the delays in this matter are part of the tactic by the former president's legal team because Billy Downer is also up for retirement soon, but that wouldn't necessarily prevent him from being somewhat of an advisor to the National Prosecuting Authority. So that's a suggestion that's come this morning. And of course, we know that the arguments that the former presidents have made is that Billy Downer is basically too politically compromised, if I could put it that way, to be overseeing this matter, and that if they want to avoid any allegations of mistrial, then they should rather deal with this issue of Billy Downer now, as opposed to having this matter dealt with once he's been convicted and sentenced, as the NPA is trying to suggest.
A short while ago, the former president making an appearance in court. Is that something that the court has required of him to do, or is he doing it out of his own free will today?
Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna actually bring in someone who'd be able to answer that question quite clearly, and that's the NPA spokesperson, Mthunzi Maka. The question here is that was it required or compulsory for the former president to be in court this morning?
It's an appeal in criminal proceedings, and therefore there's an obligation that an accused person attends court until excused by the court for a justifiable reason.
Mr. Maga, one of the arguments that the former president's lawyers is making is that it was procedurally incorrect, quote unquote, for there be a request to file a responding affidavit for leave to appeal applications such as this one.
The presiding officer in criminal matters, especially in appeal, has a right and is entitled to prescribe whatever rules that are going to be regulating the appeal. So there's nothing irregular with what is done. But our argument is that what is irregular is the step that they've taken. When the matter has not been concluded, when there's no conviction and sentence, they decide to take an irregular step of filing an appeal, because that's approaching this matter in piecemeal, which means for every interlocutory application that they bring and there's a ruling that is not in their favor, they're going to take that matter on appeal. That's trial by piecemeal, and we want to see to it that they have pleaded and therefore evidence should be led in respect of the plea that they've presented in court.
What would the NPA say to a suggestion that's been made that perhaps a compromise here would be to actually have Billy Downer removed as the lead prosecutor but keep him in the team, seeing that the main bone of contention that is actually delaying the start of this trial is having Billy Downer lead this prosecution's team?
You can only remove a prosecutor if he has no title to prosecute. He has the title to prosecute, and the court has ruled in our favor to say Billy Downer stays, so he has nowhere to go. He must stay and see to it that this case is going through.
All right, that's Mthunzi Maga. He speaks for the National Prosecuting Authority, Koli, saying that while the issue of the title to prosecute, which is actually the foundation of why we're still going to be here today, has been granted in their favor, and that Billy Downer is going nowhere.
Very interesting arguments indeed being made by the state there also, that if a person is still an accused, the law makes no provision that they apply for an application for leave to appeal. We're going to get some legal analysis there. Outside court also is our reporter Nkosikhona Duma, and you see him there with the supporters of the former President Jacob Zuma. Nkosikhona, good morning to you. What's the mood like there, particularly given that today the former president is physically present in court? Do they expect him to address after the court proceedings?
Well, Koli, I will tell you that there certainly is less support for former President Jacob Zuma here outside the Pietermaritzburg High Court, because behind me there used to be a stage where the former president was expected to address his supporters. That stage isn't here today. We're seeing a handful of supporters. They are singing. They are in high spirits, Koli, and of course they told us that they came all the way from Soweto. We haven't seen Koli, the large numbers of supporters that we have been seeing in the past, but I just want to show you some of the banners that they have. My colleague Gift Nkosikhona is going to show you. They're saying hashtag free President Jacob Zuma. Some of the singing that has been said here is when Zenu Zuma asking what has Zuma done. So clearly they are, of course, they feel that the former president is being persecuted. There has been their consistent theme out here, Koli, is that the former president is being persecuted for his political reasons and not necessarily his alleged criminal conduct.
Nkosikhona Duma, thank you very much for that update. We are going to be staying in touch with our team in Pietermaritzburg.